Well, I would say this, in accountants are not unlike other CEOs of companies. They're obsessed with business outcomes. When they hire someone to do their marketing, they're looking for results. They don't even want marketing. They're like, marketing is crap. They actually want sales. They say marketing, but they're just being kind. They want sales. They want results that they can measure against. And I'm so well trained to be on the same page with them because I believe the same thing that they do. And if I can get results, you don't even need to fire me. I'll be gone. If I don't show you some results, forget it.
Hey guys, welcome to the CPA Primetime Show. Today, we have a very special guest. He was a CPA at 22, didn't know what a CPA was at 17, maybe like many of you, but now he is the CEO and founder of Kool Kel Marketing. So from a CPA to a marketer, from accounting to marketing, and that was way before I did it. So I almost did the same thing. That was way before, but that's not even the most interesting part. You are about to hear from one of the most fascinating American success stories. Probably when we look back at entrepreneurship, you know, he was part of the 30 under 30 along with, guess who? Mark Zuckerberg, and long history as the CMO, COO at Steiner Sports. If you know anything about sports, that's a big deal right there. And now, at the end of this year, he started his marketing firm. But let's get right into it. For all the viewers out there who have never heard of Kelvin Joseph before, give them your quick 2-minute drill, 30 for 30. Who is Kelvin Joseph?
Well, guess what? I'm just a guy. Just a regular guy. I mean, I'm the first person from my family born in this country. My mom came from the Spice Island of Grenada. I was in her stomach when she flew over here. First grandchild born in this country, humble beginnings. When I was born, I didn't even make it to the hospital. I didn't even make it. Basically, I was born in my grandfather's bathroom. We didn't even have a phone to call. The ambulance came and picked me up after I was born. I was so determined to get to this world and start crushing it.
Fascinating. That's an American story.
So from humble beginnings, first person born here, first person to go to college. So when I went to college, I couldn't major in some soft major like philosophy or marketing. I was going to college. You see what I'm saying? I was working for scholarships. If I went below a B+, I would get kicked out of school. So at the end of the day, I had to major in something solid, like accounting. I learned at a young age that accounting was the language of business. Pace University had this program called the Careers Opportunity in the Accounting Profession, co-op program. It was sponsored by the New York State Society of CPAs. And I entered that program after my junior year. At that time, I thought I wanted to go on Wall Street. I wanted to be like Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street. Greed was good. I was into it, man. I was a weird kid. I liked to wear suits and everything. Overall weird kid. But when I went into this program, not only did it help me realize that accounting was the foundation of business, the language of business, it helped me find Pace University, which is a great school, especially for accounting. And I was really on my way from there. Fast forward a little bit, after my freshman year at Pace University, I landed through a program called Inroads. They help talented minority get a leg up, as well as opportunities in corporate America. And I got a job at EY at 19 years old. I was working in a national retail and consumer products group at EY at 19, supporting the partners. And it really was a humbling experience because I thought I was hot stuff, man. By the time 19, working at a big firm like that, and I thought I was really hot.
Yeah, for people where they come from a generation of accountants, they might be like, okay, but for you at that time, just the first one in your family for a job like that at 19, that's wild, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I had set the goal to work at a top accounting firm upon graduation, but once I achieved that goal after my freshman year, I had to set the bar a little bit higher. And the fact that I was around these amazing people at EY, I definitely had to step up my game, because what I thought was actually good to them was like average, you know? So in order to get great, I had to keep raising the bar. And they taught me that at a young age, never to settle, keep learning, keep making sure that you're providing value to your clients. They taught me client service. And they also taught me that it would be better to pass the CPA exam, the sooner the better, while you were still a student in your mind. Because once you become a professional and you don't want to study for no exam, and plus life starts taking over as well. So I was very much prepared for the CPA exam. I passed the exam. I graduated in May 2001. I passed the exam May 2001, all 4 parts at the time. And I had to do another year of experience, because my experience, they only counted a year of my experience while I was in school. So by the time I was 22, I was a full CPA working at EY. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I quit EY to become a shoe salesman. I was crazy. I quit EY to become a shoe salesman. I basically started a company, took 10 grand with my wife, and we built a shoe company specializing in shoes that are available in larger sizes. We saw that plus size clothing was like $1 billion industry, so we went plus size shoes. So we took 10 grand, and in a couple of years, we turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. And that's how we got on Inc. magazine, 30 Under 30, with Mark Zuckerberg. My wife was number 25, and I was number 26. So
there you go. There you go.
So that was an amazing ride. It was amazing. But then also, when things were going great with the company, and I was looking smart, I was first looking like a fool for leaving EY to be a shoe salesman. Then it looked really smart in the beginning.
Yeah, they were like, come on.
But then something happened to the world economy around 2008 when banks started going out of business. Guess what? When banks started going out of business, so did shoe stores. But the biggest thing that happened in the business was that Amazon bought Zappos. And I had a contract with Amazon for their shoe website, endless.com, where they were giving me a $100,000 PO every month, a purchase order for 100 grand. And I wasn't so reliant on working with Amazon. When they bought Zappos, they pulled Zappos didn't renew my contract.
Yeah.
I learned my first lesson. If you don't speak directly to your customers and own the customer, you don't own the business. Because the first time you let somebody else have direct communication with your customers, you lose. So I learned that lesson. I had to pay back all my friends and family that had invested in the business because the economy was so bad, everybody pulled their money out. So I got hit with losing my biggest supplier, as well as I got hit with losing all my investors at the same time. So I had to go hide in corporate America. But guess what? Being a CPA makes it easy to find work. So I went and did strategy at Saks Fifth Avenue, working with the VP of Internal Audit and working with the CEO of Saks Fifth Avenue when they were one of the top department stores in the world. And I did that for about 3 years. I would go around like George Clooney from that movie, just firing people, creating efficiencies, and reorganizing departments. So that was really, really good. And then I had the opportunity to launch the financial infrastructure at the company Gilt Group, which was like a flash retail at the time. It went from like 0 to 100 million real quick. And I had the opportunity to build a whole financial infrastructure. But at the time, when I was doing that, it was like working at a startup that you didn't own. So I was like a crap dad. Like my kids were really young. I was working 70 hours a week, and I didn't own the company. So that didn't make a lot of sense for me. So it turned out that Steiner Sports needed someone to to reorganize their company, like I had been doing for Saks, and some of the client work I had done at EY had come in handy. So I went into Steiner Sports. I started as like an assistant controller. 3 months later, I was a controller. 9 months later, I was a CFO. It was an insane ride. I mean, so I really enjoyed working at a sports marketing company. First starting off in a situation where I was running their accounting, then I started running their IT, the operations, and then I took over sales as well. It was an interesting transition though from CFO. One day I went in to get a raise because I thought I had done a great job, or I thought I was doing a great job. I went in to get a raise, and my CEO at the time let me know. He's like, "You want a raise, but you're like, as CFO, you're like the highest paid person that doesn't make any damn sales." I was like, "This is crazy." Okay. I never thought of it that way because I thought of like CFO, I'm managing the money, blah blah blah. I'm doing a great job, but I didn't realize that. And I think a lot of CFOs are realizing it now, that driving revenue is important. You can't avoid it. I know a lot of accountants that don't like sales, don't like driving revenue. They want to control costs. Guess what? We're a cost. If all we do is control costs and we don't drive revenue, you know, our value is limited. I mean, it's a lot of value.
Interesting.
So that's how I got into really into marketing and sales. I hung up my CFO cap, picked up the CMO and COO cap, and started running sports marketing company where I was connecting athletes and companies and driving sales. And recently, I just started my own marketing firm because I know how to run a business and I know how to help CEOs grow their sales. Isn't that what every CEO wants? They just want to grow their sales. I mean, at the end of the day, they want to grow their bottom line, but at the same time, listen, they got to grow those sales. And you see a lot of people that are in roles that the normal accountant or the normal CPA say, that sales guy doesn't do anything. Well, guess what? He grows sales. And that's why they get away with murder. It's because that's what the CEO wants. They want to grow their sales. And I found that as long as CEOs are obsessed with business outcomes, Kool Kel marketing is going to be doing great because that's all I focus on, helping those CEOs grow their revenue. I found that's the most sought after skill right now, and I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, wow. And look, I would just say from hearing all that, it's almost like your entire career has been Kool Kel marketing in the basically the fact that you've always been focused on growth ever since that shoe company, right? Your family shoe company. You've been focused on growth, although from a financial aspect, and then being CFO at Steiner Sports, right when you switched to CMO. Let's talk about that transition real quick. How was that shift? Because what a lot of these entrepreneurial CPAs are figuring out in this new digital landscape is, well, they have the opportunity to market very, very well that did not exist 15 years ago.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Even though it was a big transition for me, most CPAs and accountants have to go through some transition. If they're working at a big firm, eventually they want to move from senior manager to partner. And when you're a partner, bringing in business and having relationships with the clients is bigger than the work, because the partner kind of shows up on the last day of the audit, checks everything out, and makes sure everything's good, puts his stamp of approval on the thing. Most of the lion's share of the work was already done. But how do those technical people who have been so technical their whole career, when it's time for them to make partner, they're asking them to be salesmen, to be relationship guys. But they've been, so I mean, at the end of the day, that transition, even in public accounting, people have to make that eventually. What do you think?
Well, from what I've seen in my own experience, me naturally almost being a marketer, choosing marketing as my major, but then taking an accounting class and saying, no, wait, this is my ticket out of poverty, basically, for the guaranteed job at the very least, right? And I went with PwC, but what I saw there was, there's great partners, great people in accounting, right? But they did struggle with business development, or they were scratching their heads coming up with ideas, me as a marketer, that I thought were kind of silly. So that's what I'll say, is that they did have to do a lot of biz dev, right? Business development within the industry that the office focused on. And I'll say this, I'll put it this way. Most partners right now might think that it's going to an industry conference within the city, when really, I mean, they should be marketing against everyone visiting the conference, even with ads. So if the conference is on one day, then we are not only going to the conference, but we actually have media surrounding that on LinkedIn, surrounding that on Instagram, depending on the industry, to the people at the conference, right? Let's say we're the firm, but we can't even get on the stage and speak at the conference. Then we've got some type of media where it's like, hey, everybody at so-and-so conference, right? And on the day of the conference, I don't know if anyone does that, but that's just one of my ideas that they could do. I give out a lot of ideas for free, so I don't know.
Man, I mean, you have built your brand as a CPA marketer. You're that dude, right? And the reason why you're so popular is because a lot of accountants look down upon sales, look down upon marketing as lower than what they're doing. But the reality is it's just a little different. It has its value. And I think that as CPAs start to learn how to brand themselves, the number one reason why I think CPAs need to start branding themselves is this. You could ask any CPA, how much of your business is from maintaining relationships with your clients and referrals? They'll probably tell you 90%, 95%. So you're telling me 95% of your business is based on people having a good opinion about you and sharing it with other people? That sounds like marketing to me, Yeah. It's a matter of, instead of waiting for things to happen, you're making things happen.
Right. No, and I think, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool in leveraging those relationships, where if you're telling me that, all right, I get a lot of clients from references, right? Well, then make more relationships on LinkedIn. That's almost all you have to do, right? And so I think the mindset as well of just the CPAs who did not become marketers, right? But they're still CPAs. The mindset is interesting there, what Kelvin thinks compared to what Kelvin thinks about. So what have you noticed? What's the big key difference there? And how can they just, learn from you right here on this podcast?
Well, the key thing is, there's a few things, but I like two of them. One is, I'm a CPA as well. So I think return on investment as well. That's why the both of us, Juan, me and you, we work well with CPAs because we think like them. They want a return on investment. Now, one of the things you have to be careful of is that their desire to tie everything to the numbers and get this immediate return on investment can make them transactional. When you become transactional in relationships, you're not cool. I created Kool Kel marketing because I'm making companies cool again. See, It's not cool to want to get something for every dollar you spend and like everybody sees you coming a mile away.
Yeah.
What about building a brand? What about making people come to you? Juan, where do you live? Where do you live?
I live in San Jose. I'm in San Antonio visiting my parents, but I live near Silicon Valley.
All right. So if I was in San Jose and I walked down the street with a fire extinguisher and I knocked on everybody's door and I said, hey, I was just checking to see if you have a fire that I could put out. I'd probably get arrested on your street. right? But if I'm walking down that same street with the fire extinguisher and someone runs out of their house and they say, my house is on fire, can you help me? That's what I want. I want people coming to me. I don't want to be running to people saying, hey, I'm the best CPA in the world. Yeah, right. You know, like, at the end of the day, you want people coming to you. If you can't just focus on referrals, because that's passive activity. You're waiting for your clients to refer you. That's where you get 90 to 95% of your business. And that's great. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to get business? How are you making people come to you? I think there's a lot of CPAs that could build their brand and easily, because no one else is trying to do it. Who's a CPA who's an expert in this or expert in that? They go unnamed. They go under the radar. They should brand themselves. You branded yourself. You're the CPA marketer. You don't think that's helping your business?
It is. And I'll say this, creating what I thought of when you were talking about the financial crash, the banks going out of business, Amazon, right? Really, that's when you said you needed to be close to the customer, right? The customer needed to know about you and who you are. So I look at it as in the same way where people are starting to think the outside business world, not in this CPA world, right? They're starting to think that, hey, the software can do all the accounting. We may not need accountants in the future. That's what they're saying. And it's crazy for us to hear in the accounting world, because obviously we know that, hey, we're still going to be here for a very, very long time. The software is just making us even better advisors and consultants. So now branding is even more important than ever, because that public perception is kind of, people are starting to question if they need a CPA. You mentioned at Steiner Sports that, you know, they looked at you as not growing the top line as the CFO, right? How do they, I have my own tips on branding, but how would you say CPAs should go out there and brand themselves in today's environment?
One of the things, all the firms are good because the CPA goes through somewhat of a rigor to become a CPA. It's not an easy license to get. And the experience is a training ground as well. So a lot of the firms are good. So it's not necessarily about saying that we're smarter than the other firm, because that might be hard to prove. I think that branding yourself as expert in a particular thing and going all the way with it, instead of being a jack of all trades, kind of, you have industry specialists within each firm that should brand themselves as the expert in that particular thing within the firm. So it shouldn't be one guy at the firm. It should be like 10 guys that are expert in their own little thing, so to speak. I think that's one way of doing it. I think the other piece of it is that if CEOs are obsessed with business outcomes and CPAs get most of their business from referrals, that means other people are giving them business based on recommendation. Why don't they figure out ways in which to help their clients beyond just doing the books? I mean, obviously there's compliance, there's all this stuff, but at the end of the day, if my accountant can introduce me to 10 people, that'd be great. You know, that would be helpful.
That's very interesting. And I'll say this, I'll share this, and this is in no way, you know, it's also a humble plug too, but my clients, some of them actually in their markets, in their cities, they start talking about, well, now I want to teach my clients marketing because one, we're getting so good at it, right? And my clients, they're impressed by our marketing actually. So maybe we can help them, right? So very, very interesting things that now CPAs as advisors can start consulting their clients, or at least, you know, introduce them to different people within the city. I have a big, you know, I'm a big fan of trying to make your business become the media company. So my first tip in branding is, hey, start a podcast where you invite people from the industry on, just like I do here, just like you see, you know, some of the most well-branded business people, that's what is helping them out right now, is podcasts, going out to different podcasts, things like that. So if I'll say this too, being, you know, I used to say, you know, I'm not an extrovert, right? But I'm much more charismatic and extroverted than many of the people I saw at PricewaterhouseCoopers or came up with in accounting, right? As you are, Kelvin. So what would you say to the introvert accountant? How can they use that? Maybe they're not so ready to pop up a video and do interviews all over the place, right? How can they attack that in your, you know, from your point of view?
I would say that they don't have to change who they are. They don't need to necessarily do a video. I would say someone in their firm should be the extrovert. They should have a couple of those in their firm somewhere, right? But I guess the key advice here is anyone can make an introduction. If the lifeblood of their business is referrals, how many referrals are they helping me with? How many? What can they do to help the client outside of just the compliance stuff? Or, I mean, there's some advisory work that's appreciated, but definitely we charge a premium for the work we do. What can we do outside of the transaction? Can we be less transactional? Can we be relationship people? And I found that if you're in a relationship, it's much different than just business transactions. Whereas if I have to do a cost-benefit analysis, I would say that the CPA or the CPA firm or the accountant is valuable. But if it starts getting too expensive, then I keep doing my calculation, and eventually that's a losing battle if it's just about a transaction. There's no relationship there. There's no give and take. And I know all about compliance, what you can't do, what you can't do. But at the end of the day, can you host an event and invite your top clients so I can meet some of them? Can you do that? Can you host a nice event with your top clients? Let me bring somebody. I'll bring someone that's a good referral for you. And then let me meet the rest of the clients. I would like to meet them. I mean, can you do that? Event marketing. You don't have to be extroverted to put together an event. You know, let us talk to each other. Let us talk about how good you are.
That's interesting. Yeah. And look, I think a lot of people out there too, when they hear event marketing, they go immediately into the excuse of, well, I don't have money to book the ballroom, or what, you know, I don't have money to book the hotel, right? I would get sponsors. And since you are a CPA, since you're an accountant, I would make the sponsors, I would make a little pro forma, make it make sense for them, that it would be profitable to sponsor this event, right? And sometimes it doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it can just be meeting at a restaurant in the city, right? So very interesting stuff there. Kelvin.
Well, let me jump in and say this.
Go ahead.
If we're a CPA firm and we can't manage our own books to make sure we have room in the budget for marketing, we're doing something wrong. I mean, it makes no sense. And then on top of that, if you have to take 10 people out to dinner on separate occasions, you're taking time away from your family. You're taking a time away from everything. If you could get 10, 20 people to one dinner, it costs basically the same as 10 separate dinners. And at the end of the day, it's just a better use of your time, so you don't have to spend 10 nights away from your family.
That's very interesting. So, okay, so what do you do now on that relationship side with Kool Kel marketing? And let's start there. I'm very interested.
Kool Kel marketing is a roller coaster ride, man. Some people are not even ready. They're not even ready to go on this ride. I mean,
it's new. That's why I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Listen, our needs are very few, but our wants are unlimited. Right now, a lot of businesses think that they're needed, but they're not really needed. Are they needed that much more than their competitor could fill their spot in a second? How do you make yourself someone that's wanted I say forget everything you learned in college. Forget what you learned in college. Go back to high school. What was it about in high school? Building relationships, being really, really cool. And actually, it wasn't even based on substance. The guy who got the pretty girl, it wasn't because he was the smartest kid in the school.
Yeah.
Throw a football. He was like good looking. I mean, how do you make yourself wanted? How do you make yourself cool? How do you make your CPA firm cool where you're going to get the referrals, where people are going to come to you? That's Kool Kel marketing. Everybody's not ready for it though.
That's
like Will Smith from Hits. It's like, don't call me, I'll call you when you're ready.
Okay. Man, that's awesome. I can't wait to see how it grows because, I mean, success leaves clues, and you've had a lot of success. Now you have a marketing firm. I would assume that you're going to be serving some of the biggest brands in the world and doing a good job at it too. And so let's talk about Steiner Sports first before we get into more of the future, right? And let's kind of segue with keeping it into accounting though. What would you say from dealing with so many athletes, from dealing with, Steiner Sports, the biggest name, right? Come on, right. Dealing with the biggest names. What can accountants and CPAs learn from what you've done, marketing athletes, building Steiner Sports, helping build it?
Well, one of the things to understand about Steiner Sports, very exciting company, owned by Omnicom. And Omnicom is the largest advertising and marketing conglomerate in the world. And the reality of it is that there's a lot of accounting that even a Steiner Sports had to be accountable to and had to run by a certain amount of rules. So even though everything looks great, you're working with athletes, you're cutting big deals, at the end of the day, we still had to answer to Omnicom. And there's a lot of accountants at the top of that mountain there. So it was very interesting dynamic. But I would say some of the lessons learned were that client service is so important, even in sports, because at first you would think that the athletes were the clients, but the reality of it is that the athletes were more like vendors, because we were paying the athletes to do a service, and our clients were either our direct-to-consumer clients that bought merchandise or our sports marketing clients, which were companies that were looking for a return on their investment from what they were making into us and into the athlete. So we still had to deliver client service. And it wasn't necessarily to the athlete, it was to the actual end user that we all have to deal with. So it's a really exciting thing to not get caught up in the hype of the names, and really focus on the clients and give them the value that they needed. And I really learned that don't get caught up in the hype of it all. You need to deliver client service and put your clients first.
Interesting. So, with Steiner Sports, what would you say is, with that whole, infrastructure there, what was the biggest challenge in growing?
Well, at the end of the day, the company, I wouldn't say that there were challenges in growing. There was a great company. That grew a lot and basically the top of their industry. But I would say that the reality of it is that cell phone changed things a lot. The cell phone changed the world, because at the end of the day, in a merchandise business, an autograph used to mean that you met someone. But now what do you get when you meet somebody?
A selfie.
That's right. So that changed the game a little bit, where it became more of an experiential business versus a merchandise business. So that took a transition. But nowadays, experiential is big. Experiential is booming, where it's like, I want to bring Magic Johnson to the Oracle conference, because then 10,000 people who want to buy ERP systems, which decision is usually made by a high technology person or an accountant. You show up with Magic Johnson, and next thing you know, 10,000 people show up.
There you go. I mean, I love it actually. And that reminds me, that's leverage right there. And that reminds me of a sports marketing company I saw on LinkedIn by the name of Leverage Marketing or, Leverage Agency, something like that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, they brought me in for they brought Kool Kel Marketing in for a day to meet with their salespeople. I met with them. I went over strategy, and I gave them a sales training that day. So it was just a week ago. So, I'm hoping that they take to the training. I'm looking forward to helping them go further. The first thing I did for them is Kool Kel Marketing came in and trained all their salespeople. Went over strategy, talked about the business. I was just their guru for like one day. So that was just an amazing thing. Then, just to further help their brand, I took the iconic LinkedIn picture with them and posted it across the internet. And over 30,000 professionals have already seen it.
Right,
so
I saw it.
That comes with the Kool Kel Marketing one-day training. You get the LinkedIn endorsement as well.
There you go. And everyone knows about you. And okay, so with Steiner Sports transitioning into Kool Kel Marketing, did it just happen all of a sudden, or is it something where you said, you know what, I'm gonna do this one day, and then now was the time to do it?
Well, I was born an entrepreneur. I was born to do this. All my life's experiences have brought me to this moment. I'm so happy about it. I mean, the reality is, I was on Inc. 30 Under 30 with Mark Zuckerberg. Just because I had a bump in the road, I'm not going to let it put me on the side of the road. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. Mark, I'm coming for you.
That's awesome. Let's go. Okay. So I'll say this then. Where are you headed directly into 2019? What's your biggest goal? I'll put it this way. For me, this year, I quit PwC this year from, doing accounting, auditing, to all of a sudden my peers are looking at me. Now I'm marketing all these accounting businesses, right? Next year in 2019, even right now, we have it set up. It's more about the team for me. Very new entrepreneur. I'm building a team around me, but my team and building my clients' businesses. That's my big focus for 2019. What is yours? And I think hearing that from you is just so valuable for everyone because you've been successful for a very long time. So no one expects you just to go out of business in 2019.
Well, I mean, the reality of it is that I need to scale the business, scale Kool Kel Marketing. When I started, I was thinking too small. I was thinking, hey, I'm going to be a part-time CMO for like 6 companies, and that's going to be great. And, I'll cover the salary that I walked away from at Steiner Sports. That's how I was thinking. I didn't think that hundreds of companies need help growing their sales, maybe thousands. So
interesting.
Scale. Wow. The biggest thing for me for 2019, Juan, is finding people like you be my strategic partners. So that when I'm helping CPA firms grow, which I'm going to be doing, you're going to be helping me. I'm going to hire your firm to help me with that business.
Let's do it.
Because I can't do them all. I'm only one dude. I need people like you.
Right.
I'm going to get other strategic partners in other verticals. Like, for example, some of my clients are asking me to build a website for them. I don't know how to build a website.
Right, you there.
So I had to get a strategic partner that builds websites and is an expert in this so I'm surrounding myself with experts because I thought there was only 2 ways to scale the company. One, hire a bunch of employees, underpay them, and try to make money off of them and pass them off to my clients as if they were me. Right? That's what a lot of people try to do. But if I get strategic partners that are experts in their field and are CEOs of their own companies, I could be in a situation where I put them in play, I help their business grow, and I make sure everything has the Kool Kel Marketing seal of approval on it. And at the end of the day, clients are going to be much happier.
Right. I mean, look, I my goal in the accounting industry, because I haven't seen great marketing anywhere from top to bottom, and I've used some examples like, sure, PwC is fine, but at the end of the day, they did ask me and my intern group in 2016 what they can do better. We shocked them and got 2 extra unscheduled meetings, and my audience may know the story, but now I look at zero with so much money to spend on marketing. And I see many things they can do better, right? And then I have my team of experts that I'm building, and they bring more insight. So it's almost like this shift of, hey, there are already great marketers out there, but I'm bringing my team who was great at marketing in other industries, getting hired by Dropbox, other big brands, things like that,
Yep.
and then injecting them into the accounting world, right? So that's really my goal in the accounting industry, is just to, I was talking with Gary Vaynerchuk two weeks ago, and he gave me a couple pieces of advice for the accountants. But basically, I am bringing some of the best experts in marketing and what they do. If you've heard of David Meltzer before, he's my mentor. I'm
Yeah.
leveraging a lot of what already exists in other industries, and I'm just breaking it down into how accounting businesses can use it to grow. So that's my strategy there. But no, I think you're gonna be very successful in leveraging on your reputation, finding some of the best people, right? Because for me, I know I'm very at a high level with my experts. A lot of people can just edit a video, right? When I need to consult a $2,000 to $10,000 cinematography project, then I want to bring the guy in that has been shooting with Matthew McConaughey, some of the biggest fitness influencers in the world, Dropbox, right? Not just any videographer. So speak a little bit to the quality of Kool Kel marketing and what you know, because I feel like you just have so much proven success in growing businesses. So how has that quality of the product that you bring, how has that been it's been injected in other businesses from what I've seen throughout your career? How is that now spread out to the industries that you want to serve? Because I imagine, you seem very excited when we started talking about 2019. You're like, they don't even know. So like, what industries are you so excited to see? Like the way I just talked about accounting, yeah, sure, that's one industry, that's one.
Yep.
But for you, what are you looking at? Who can grow out there? Very interesting conversation.
Well, I would say this: accountants are not unlike other CEOs of companies. They're obsessed with business outcomes. When they hire someone to do their marketing, they're looking for results. They don't even want marketing. They're like, marketing is crap. They actually want sales. They say marketing, but they're just being kind. They want sales. They want results that they can measure against. And I'm so well trained to be on the same page with them, because I believe the same thing that they do. And if I don't get results, you don't even need to fire me. I'll be gone. If I don't show you some results, forget it. So I've actually am interested in startups. A lot of startups, actually, I want to help, because think about it like this. CMOs at big companies are actually only stay there about 18 to 24 months. And it's mostly because, they put their marketing plan in place, and after a couple years, somebody has to be the fall guy if it doesn't give the result. Yeah. But you see CMOs, it's like musical chairs. So in theory, I'm like, does someone want to pay like $500,000 for a CMO? Nah, not really. No one really wants to do that. Can a startup pay that much money for a quality CMO like me? No, they can't afford that. But they can buy a little piece. And I found that I could, in a couple of months, I could show a company everything they need to know, and then move to the next project.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of, consulting my clients to build marketing infrastructures within their organization, right? Yep. So I mean, yeah, and that's what I got from what you just said, and I think that's absolutely the smartest thing to do. And I want to get back to infrastructure because I kind of view you, from what I have seen, I view you as an architect in building that growth infrastructure, right? Maybe not only from the financial side or the marketing side, but what can you just speak about to building an infrastructure around the business? Because there are also, entrepreneurial accountants out there who maybe they've made a job for themselves basically, and they're trying to outsource, maybe struggling to outsource a little bit, but how would you build that infrastructure, and what are some tips you could give in that growing businesses?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to know what you want before you can get it. I think you would agree, Juan, that if you have a target, it's much easier to hit it than I just want to grow as much as I can. I want to make as much money as I can. But maybe you have enough money. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to have a better quality of life. I don't know what people want. But people need to know what they want before they start expending time, energy, and effort. Because at the end of the day, maybe that firm is okay making a couple of $1 million. Maybe that's good enough. So at the end of the day, some people want to grow because they don't necessarily know what they actually want. So to get back to your question about infrastructure, it depends what you're trying to build, right? So if you're trying to build a $100 million company, and you are a $20 million company, and you're saying to yourself, I want to be 5 times as big, but I don't have a budget for marketing. What do you think about that? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to get 5 times as big and spend no money. Guess what? You don't have the right infrastructure. But now, let's say you're a $20 million company, and you want to be a $22 million company. You probably could work with what you have there, probably little tweaks. Now, what about if you're a $10 million company and you want to become a $15 million company? Might be some growing pains there. So at the end of the day, though, you got to treat your people well. The biggest and best infrastructure is that if you have your people, if you inspire your people, don't manage your people, lead your people, and they're inspired by you, they will give you much more than someone that's just doing just enough not to get fired. You don't want to have too many people in your company working just enough not to get fired. You want to create incentives where people feel like they're a part of the thing. That's where you're getting like 1.5 out of each one person.
Okay.
You're not gonna get that by being a penny pincher or being short-sighted. Make it inspired.
Okay, so what are some of the ways that you've sort of, created that environment for the people around you throughout your career, building businesses, empowered them, so to speak?
Well, the first thing is you actually have to care. You actually have to care about the person, right? If you don't care and it's just a transaction, you always lose. You always lose because that person, it's like, what are you going to do? Watch them all day? At the end of the day, you don't want to be in transactional relationships. I've always built relationships with people that sometimes to my own detriment, let them win. Give them trust. Don't let them earn your trust. Just give them the trust off the gate and let them feel inspired to do their own thing. Make them feel empowered to make a decision. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a bunch of people that do whatever you say, then eventually you're going to have a company full of people who have nothing to say.
Interesting. There you go. I like that one. So, I mean, look, we're getting to the end of the hour here. I just have one more question from you. Okay. I mean, man, you do have one of the greatest American success stories, and it's not over, which is, it's wild. They don't, that's what I'm talking about. Like you said, they don't know what's coming, right? So when we look back, what is the legacy that Kelvin Joseph leaves behind?
Well, I think that success is actually happiness. It's not really tied to dollars and cents, right? You want to be happy. We all want the same thing. Success is happiness. My legacy is going to be, I'm a spiritual man. I'm a family man. I'm here for my kids. That's my legacy. At the end of the day, if I go broke tomorrow, I'll still be happy. Relationship with God, having a great family. Your career should actually be third in your life. Our humility needs to exceed our ability. And we need to pursue happiness instead of that extra incremental dollar. At the end of the day, when we're killing ourselves to make what? More money? I mean, after your bills are covered, every incremental dollar is not giving you incremental happiness.
Yeah.
And as soon as you realize that and start being a good person, you win.
Speaking truth. And to add on to that, that's a perfect ending. To add on to that, though, I mean, I would look, when it comes to money, for me, taking my family out of poverty, taking neighborhoods that I grew up in San Antonio out of poverty, influencing them, things like that, that's very important to me. A lot of that requires money. And guess what? I found out. I mean, I'm the money maker. So let's make money, right? But at the end of the day, I really don't like when, people are challenged in life, or, you've heard of those people that, they're challenged in any way, or they get in some type of argument, and their best thing that they always go to is, oh yeah, well, I make more money than you, or I have a better, career than you. Like, come on, this is life. Like, this is crazy. But, no, I mean, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. One of the best interviews thus far. And I'm sure we'll be talking again very soon. And I'm sure the CPAs, if you guys need to go follow him. Where can they follow you at?
Listen, they need to follow me on LinkedIn. If they follow me on LinkedIn, it'd be hard to connect with me because I hit the connection limit, which I didn't even know was a real thing. But KoolKel.com, Kool Kel Marketing, helping CEOs grow without fear. I'm obsessed with the bottom line, just like you. Let's go. Let's do it. 2019. Let's make this money, but at the same time, our humility needs to exceed our ability. I'm here for you. I got your back. Kool Kel Marketing.